Wealth does not begin in your bank account, it begins in your mind. Long before money shows up in your life, a decision must show up in your psychology. The world often teaches people to chase strategies, tactics, and shortcuts, but the truth is that without the internal shift, none of those external tools will ever create lasting abundance. To think like the wealthy means you stop asking, "What is the easiest way?" and you start asking, "Who must I become?" Because the person you become determines the opportunities you see, the risks you are willing to take, the standards you live by, and the level of responsibility you accept. The wealthy are not simply people with more money. They are people who have trained themselves to think differently about time, about fear, about failure, and about growth. Most people wait. They wait for confidence. They wait for permission. They wait for the perfect moment. But the wealthy understand that clarity comes from action, not from thought alone. They move before they feel ready. They decide before circumstances become ideal. They understand that motion creates momentum, and momentum builds belief. When you act, even imperfectly, you collect evidence that you are capable, resourceful, and stronger than your doubts. This is why the rich often appear fearless. It is not because they never feel uncertainty. It is because they have practiced acting in spite of it. To think like the wealthy is to develop a relationship with problems that empowers you instead of paralyzes you. Average thinking says, "Why is this happening to me?" Wealth thinking asks, "How can I use this?" Every challenge contains information, feedback, and hidden leverage. The moment you train your brain to search for advantage within difficulty, you begin to operate from power. You stop being a victim of events and start becoming the architect of outcomes. Another shift happens in how you value time. Poor thinking trades time for comfort. Wealth thinking invests time for freedom. The wealthy are willing to sacrifice temporary pleasure for long-term control over their lives. They read when others scroll. They build when others complain. They practice when others sleep. And while these actions may look small in the moment, compounded over years, they produce extraordinary separation. Success is rarely explosive at the beginning. It is quietly built through disciplined days no one applauds. Thinking like the wealthy also means raising your standards. Your standards are what you tolerate from yourself. If you tolerate procrastination, distraction, and excuses, you will build a life that reflects those habits. But when you decide that average effort is unacceptable, your behavior begins to transform. Standards create identity, and identity drives destiny. When you see yourself as a builder, an investor, a learner, a leader, you start making decisions that align with that image. You no longer negotiate with weakness because it does not match who you believe you are. Wealthy thinking requires emotional mastery. Money amplifies who you are. If you are undisciplined, it makes you more reckless. If you are generous, it makes you more impactful. Therefore, the pursuit of wealth is also the pursuit of self-control. Can you stay focused when distractions multiply? Can you remain certain when results are delayed? Can you keep faith in your vision when others doubt you? Your ability to manage emotion in uncertain seasons determines whether you will ever reach extraordinary ones. The rich also understand proximity. They deliberately place themselves near people who challenge them to grow. They study those ahead of them. They borrow beliefs from achievers until those beliefs become their own. Environment is invisible but powerful. It shapes what you consider normal. If you are surrounded by small thinking, playing small feels safe. But when you step into rooms where big results are expected, your internal thermostat begins to rise. Thinking like the wealthy means you become obsessed with value creation. Instead of asking, "How can I make money?" you ask, "How can I become useful at a massive scale?" Income follows impact. The marketplace rewards those who solve meaningful problems. When you improve skills, deepen expertise, and focus on contribution, money becomes a byproduct rather than a pursuit. Gratitude is another secret weapon. It may sound simple, but appreciation fuels resilience. When you recognize what you already possess, your abilities, your chances, your potential, you operate from abundance instead of scarcity. Scarcity shrinks decisions. Abundance expands them. A grateful mind sees possibilities that a fearful mind misses. Most importantly, the rich decide faster and commit longer. They understand that greatness requires endurance. There will be setbacks, miscalculations, and moments of doubt, but quitting is the only failure that cannot be corrected. Persistence turns temporary defeat into eventual triumph. At some point, you must draw a line in your life and declare that drifting is over. No more blaming the economy, no more blaming your history, no more waiting for rescue. You are responsible for your skills, your attitude, your learning, and your action. This responsibility is not a burden, it is freedom. Because if it is on you, it is within your control. The day you begin to think like the wealthy is the day you start building real power. You stop wishing and start executing. You stop shrinking and start expanding. You stop dreaming and start deciding. And once a real decision is made, the path forward has no choice but to appear.